Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? Good afternoon. The devotional today will be led by Amanda Spencer, who is a middle school guidance counselor at Winooski Middle and High School.
When I asked my young adult son what he thought I should share with this chamber, he barely hesitated. He said, "Mom, you are always saying that mental health is a verb, not a noun, right? Tell them about that idea." Okay, so I'll do that. Though presented as a noun, I'll share this abridged definition of mental health by the World Health Organization, which openly highlights its complexity. Mental health is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn and work well, and contribute to their community. Mental health exists on a complex continuum, which is experienced differently from one person to the next. At any one time, a diverse set of individual, family, community, and structural factors combine to protect or undermine mental health. Although most people are resilient, people who are exposed to adverse circumstances are at higher risk of developing a mental health condition. No need to despair, however. There are indeed some ways that we can exercise mental health as a verb, an action. Here are a few proven ways to practice mental health as a verb and to help keep us healthy. These are things that I do myself, with my family, with my students in Winooski, and with my clients in clinical practice. Think about something that brings you joy. Smile. Share that joy with someone else. Tend to something growing or living daily. That could be a houseplant, a dog, your wood stove. Do one thing today that you'll be glad you did later. Be courageous when having difficult conversations. Get in at least one good laugh daily, if possible. Be mindfully present to thoughts, feelings, sounds, and actions. Do something daily to get your heart rate up. Drink water, eat healthy food, set a goal. Consult a trusted accountability partner. Stay informed, but not consumed. Do your best to have a healthy sleep practice. Enjoy a cup of tea or eat a piece of chocolate. Practice self-forgiveness. Call a friend and ask for help. I will end with a quote from Alice in Wonderland's Cheshire Cat. "The secret, dear Alice, is to surround yourself with people who make your heart smile. It's then, and only then, that you'll find your wonderland."
Thank you. Members, we have 29 House bills for introduction today. With that, Member from Poultney, can you please offer us a motion to suspend our rules to introduce bills by number only?
Madam Speaker, I make a motion to suspend rules in order to introduce bills by number only.
The member from Poultney moves that we suspend our rules to introduce bills by number only. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have suspended rules to introduce bills by number only. Please listen to the first reading of bills by number only.
H812,
to commerce and economic development,
H813,
to education,
H814,
to healthcare,
H815,
to healthcare,
H816,
to healthcare,
H817,
to education,
H818,
to education,
H819,
to healthcare,
H820,
to environment,
H821,
to commerce and economic development,
H822,
to commerce and economic development,
H823,
to commerce and economic development,
H824,
to commerce and economic development,
H825,
to environment,
H826,
to general and housing,
H827,
to general and housing,
H828,
to government operations and military affairs,
H829,
to energy and digital infrastructure,
H830,
to education,
H831,
to government operations and military affairs,
H832,
to government operations and military affairs,
H833,
to healthcare,
H834,
to transportation,
H835,
to education,
H836,
to healthcare,
H837,
to commerce and economic development,
H838,
to government operations and military affairs,
H839,
to human services,
and H840.
to government operations and military affairs. Members, we received a request to read a House concurrent resolution that the House and Senate adopted pursuant to the consent calendar. HCR 173 is a House concurrent resolution designating January 29th, 2026 as Mental Health Advocacy Day at the State House. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas, according to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, approximately 104,000 adults in Vermont live with a mental health condition, and 27,000 have a serious mental health illness. And whereas youth mental health challenges persist in Vermont, data from a 2023 Vermont Department of Health survey documented that roughly 1/3 of the state's high school students indicated that they have poor mental health. Approximately 1/4 reported instances of self-harm, and 14% had developed a suicide plan. And whereas the Federal Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration research showed that just 1/2 of the adults in the United States who experienced any mental illness, AMI, received treatment. And for those persons who experience serious mental illness, SMI, the comparable percentage was only 70%. And whereas these concerning statistics reflect gaps in mental health support services, both in Vermont and nationally. And whereas the 11th Annual Mental Health Advocacy Day at the State House, being held today, January 29th, 2026, is organized under the theme, Together for Dignity, United for Change, Reclaiming Mental Health in Vermont. And the participants include individuals with lived experiences, families, providers, and advocates. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that the General Assembly designates January 29th, 2026 as Mental Health Advocacy Day at the State House. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to each of the mental health advocacy organizations present today at the State House, including NAMI Vermont, the Vermont Association for Mental Health and Addiction Recovery, and the Vermont Care Partners.
Are there any announcements? Member from Winooski.
Madam Speaker, we just heard a devotional from Amanda Spencer. She's a licensed independent clinical social worker and a school counselor serving the Winooski School District. She also runs a private clinical practice. With over 20 years of experience across community mental health, schools, crisis response, residential care, and outpatient settings, Amanda brings a trauma-informed, strengths-based approach that's grounded in evidence-based care and whole person wellness. Her work and dedication really highlights the critical importance of supporting Vermonters' youth mental health so that students can build resilience, succeed academically, and grow into healthy, engaged members of our communities.
Will the guest of the member from Winooski please rise and be recognized? Please stand. Member from Middlebury.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to introduce and welcome a constituent of mine from Middlebury who is familiar to many. I knew his wife before I knew him, as she worked in my dentist's office. He and his wife still live down the street from me, so we are neighbors. One of his superpowers is that he remembers your name, even if he only met you once and it was 3 years ago. Word has it, he's also likely to remember the name of your dog, too. He now teaches a January term course at Middlebury College, and he is here today with students from his class. Would you please join me in welcoming the former governor of Vermont, Jim Douglas?
Will the former member please rise and be recognized? Are there any further announcements? Member from Guilford.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I'd like to just remind folks, if you didn't know, that the Creative Caucus will meet this afternoon in room 41, directly after this session.
Are there any further announcements? Member from Bennington.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yesterday, amidst all the bills and charters that we voted on, I failed to make a really important announcement about the appointment of Dame Sarah Elizabeth Mullally to be the 106th Archbishop of Canterbury. The Most Reverend and Right Honorable Dame Sarah Mullally is the first woman in the church's 1,400-year history to serve in the position, a milestone in the Anglican Church, given our position and internal governance aspirations towards advancing women's and LGBTQ rights within the church. It is long overdue at this point. So this important moment in the history of the church for the 1.5 million Episcopalians, including myself, in the United States, and the over 100 million Anglicans around the world, I would hope that the body could just take a moment to celebrate and appreciate this historic appointment.
Thank you, Member. Member from Winooski. Member from Burlington.
Madam Speaker, as we heard, today is Mental Health Advocacy Day, and I just want to take us a moment to welcome all of the community members from around the state of Vermont who are here to advocate for mental health today, including Vermont Care Partners, NAMI Vermont, VAMHAR, and others.
Will
They're
the
seated in the balcony.
Will the guest and the member from Burlington please rise and be recognized? Member from Brattleboro.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. People may have noticed in the cafeteria these past couple of weeks some photographs and paintings, photographs by Bill Driscoll and paintings by our former pro tem, John Campbell. They are having a little closing celebration this afternoon. There's some snacks in the cafeteria. If there's a break in the proceedings or after we finish, you might go in and take a look at them before they come down and say hello and just congratulate them on this really wonderful work.
Are there any further announcements? Member from Weston.
Madam Speaker, the Caucus for Vermont's Economy will meet tomorrow at noon in room 10. We'll be hearing from Brent Efron, who's a specialist in permitting best practices.
Are there any further announcements? Member from Winooski.
You may have heard, Madam Speaker, that today is Mental Health Advocacy Day. So I think it's an appropriate time to remind legislators that we are brought a mental health first aid training on March 16th from 9 to 4. It's virtual. If you're interested, it's limited to 30 people. So quickly reach out to sunny@sunshinesilverlining.com. Or you can contact me and I'll help you get connected. Mental Health First Aid is a training that teaches you first aid for your brain health.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none. Orders of the day. Members, we will begin with House Bill 270, which is an act relating to confidentiality for peer support counseling among emergency service providers. Please listen to the third reading of the bill.
H270, an act relating to confidentiality for peer support counseling among emergency service providers.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have passed the bill. Next up is House Bill 516, which is an act relating to approval of amendments to the Charter of the Town of Essex. Please listen to the third reading of the bill.
H516, an act relating to approval of amendments to the Charter of the Town of Essex.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have passed the bill. Now we'll turn to House Bill 790, which is an act relating to fiscal year 2026 budget adjustment. The bill was introduced by the Committee on Appropriations. The member from Middlebury, Representative Schy, will speak for the committee. Please listen to the second reading of the bill.
H790, an act relating to fiscal year 2026 budget adjustments.
Member from Middlebury.
Madam Speaker, as a reminder, the purpose of the Budget Adjustment Act, or BAA, is to review the current year budget, in this case, the FY26 budget, which went into effect July 1st, 2025, and to make adjustments as needed to tweak costs and rebalance state spending. This ensures that we keep our budget in balance and spend taxpayer dollars in ways that support Vermonters across the state. The BAA is not generally used for new programs or big policy changes, and that is the case this year. We agreed with the vast majority of the governor's proposed changes to the FY26 budget and only made a few changes based on additional information we received during the review process. In the end, we added only $50,000 to the BAA beyond the governor's recommended spending. There was a lot of truing up of various accounts and programs. There were also several caseload and utilization adjustments to various Medicaid-funded programs. With regard to Medicaid cases, caseload numbers remain stable, but utilization continues to increase. I will highlight a number of the changes, but not all of them, to the FY26 budget, and you can find all the details on the spreadsheet that is down in the well. There were copies left there, and in the bill itself. I'll be referencing the page numbers in the bill itself as it was introduced. So starting at the beginning with sections 1 through 3, B125 to 127, this relates to the reorganization for legislative operations into both Ledge Council and the Joint Fiscal Office. The money is being moved to reflect these changes and is net neutral to the budget. On page 3 in section 6, the tax department, we shifted the appropriation to $3.4 million appropriation from the general fund to the pilot fund, special fund to pay for reappraisal and listing payments for municipalities. This leaves the fund with a healthy multi-million-dollar balance even after all pilot payments are made. $3 million of freed up general fund will go to pay an unexpected pension expense, which I will speak to later. On pages 4 through 6, sections 8 through 12, this relates to the judiciary, sheriffs, and public safety. There's additional money for security in the judiciary, sheriff transport deputies, overtime for the Vermont State Police due to being short-staffed, and some funding for the Chittenden County Accountability Court pilot program. On page 8 in section 16 is the Cannabis Control Board. This restores $630,000 in funding needed to complete their lab. Now, the next sections are related to healthcare and human services. This includes sections 18 to 44, covers B300 to 347, and are found on pages 9 through 24 of the bill. The biggest change is in global commitment, which is related to Medicaid. You can see the full amount in section 19, B301, and then they're broken out into the various departments. But the total global commitment increased by nearly $60 million, with $17.3 million of general fund and $42.5 million in federal funds. These increases are primarily found in the Department of Vermont Health Access, or DVA, and the Department of Disabilities, Aging, and Independent Living, or DALE. In Section 25 on page 13, Public Health, we added $45,000 to Vermont Cares to address increased demand for services with the closing of 2 organizations, as well as inflationary costs. And we're actually going to have an amendment on this tomorrow because the $45,000 needs to be spread out over 3 organizations, not 1. No new money, but a little change that you'll see tomorrow. On pages 18 and 19 in section 34 is the Department for Children and Families, OEO, and the bottom line numbers stay the same here, but their use changed a little bit. The governor had proposed an additional $2 million for shelter expansion on top of the money we had already budgeted for this purpose. In the meantime, funding for the incredibly successful HOP, or Housing Opportunity Program, had been reduced from FY25 levels. So on the recommendation of the Human Services Committee, we kept $678,000 in for additional shelter money and used the remaining $1.32 million to restore funding to the community partners providing services to prevent and address homelessness across the state. On pages 20 and 21, section 37, also DALE, we added $30,000 to be granted to the Vermont Center for Independent Living. VCIL is the only organization that provides Meals on Wheels for individuals with disabilities for people under 60, and this is done statewide. On page 22 in section 40, long-term care, we have funding in the amount of $14.1 million for extraordinary financial relief, or EFR, for nursing homes. And in addition, there's a rate increase for the AAAs, the Area Agencies on Aging, for case management, and funding is also restored to FY25 levels for enhanced residential care organizations. Again, no new money, just rearranging a little bit. Pages 28 to 34, we're moving to section 51, which is B1100 and all of the one-time money or one-time appropriations. Several items I want to note. On page 28, the governor proposed an additional $500,000 for the expansion of the Community Accountability Court project, similar to what was started in Chittenden County, and we accepted his proposal. And then during the budget adjustment review, we learned that an additional appropriation is needed for the teachers' retirement system because the amount the administration budgeted to receive was overly optimistic. To meet 100% of the ADEC, or the actuarially determined employer contribution, we need to add an additional $3 million to the fund. Because we were able to free up more than $3 million in general funds related to the pilot special fund I mentioned earlier, we can keep our commitment to fully fund the ADEC and make the necessary $3 million contribution. On page 30, we learned that additional funding was needed for non-emergency medical transports. These are rides to medical appointments by Medicaid-eligible people who otherwise can't get to their doctor. Costs have gone up significantly, so we appropriated a total of $800,000 for this purpose, of which $330,000 is general fund and $470,000 is federal funds. On page 30, we also appropriated $167,000 to the Health Department for the transition of the Bridges to Health program from UVM to the free and referral clinics. On page 31, we added $420,000 for the 6 recovery centers that are listed on page 31 of the bill. $228,000 comes from the Substance Misuse Prevention Fund, and $192,000 comes from the general fund. These centers were adversely affected by a decision to distribute funds equally despite differing documented needs. This adjustment corrects the distribution to ensure all centers can meet basic operational requirements. On page 32, there is a $1 million appropriation to the Land Access Opportunity Board to backfill a reversion that shouldn't have occurred. This money provides the resources needed for the Homes for All Phase 2 and secure housing coaching programs. This was in the governor's recommended proposal. On page 34, we appropriated an additional $400,000 to the Agency of Agriculture for the Vermonters Feeding Vermonters program based at the Vermont Food Bank. Providing this funding now allows the food bank to contract with farmers ahead of the growing season to grow food at a specific agreed-upon quantity, price, and delivery schedule. The food is then delivered to people facing hunger through over 300 community partners and programs across the state. On to section 53 on page 36, fund transfers. The administration asked us to backfill the criminal records check special fund with just over $1 million as the fund is in deficit and revenues continually fail to meet expectations. We did agree to backfill this deficit special fund because it's not good fiscal policy to have funds in deficit. However, we've put in language requiring the Department of Public Safety to submit a sustainability plan for the fund as part of their FY27 budget adjustment presentation. In section 55 on page 39 and 40, this is reserves, the reserves section, D103. The governor had proposed dedicating approximately $75 million now to buy down property taxes. But because school budgets are still being finalized and we won't have a yield bill for another few months, we felt it was imprudent to commit this money before the legislature has more up-to-date information. So we are carrying forward these funds, which can be used to address federal funding shortfall, the property tax relief, or any other uses determined to be in the best interests of the public in FY27. This essentially is the same closeout language we used for the end of 2025. Pages 41 to 43, sections 58 and 59 relate to the Child Care Contribution Reserve and Special Fund. This simply puts in statute the methodology by which money collected from the child care contributions in people's paychecks find their way to the Child Care Special Fund. An end-of-year reconciliation will ensure all of the money that is supposed to go to the special fund actually gets there. Pages 44 to 53 are sections 60 to 76, and this relates to the reorganization of legislative operations, which I mentioned way back at the beginning. They're going into Leg Council and JFO. There are about 10 pages of language to ensure that our statutes reflect these changes. Then on pages 54 to 56, sections 78 and 79, this refers to housing assistance, also known as Section 8 housing. This is not something we normally talk about because this is a federal program and the money for housing vouchers goes directly to landlords and nothing comes through the state. However, in response to federal cuts to public housing authority budgets that began late last spring, the House Appropriations Committee has included a one-time $5 million appropriation to help the public housing authorities avoid terminating a U.S. HUD Section 8 housing choice vouchers. This appropriation is funded through a $50 million contingent appropriation that we created in last year's budget, which the Emergency Board was authorized to access in the event of significant federal cuts when the General Assembly is not in session. So funds will be directed to and administered by the Agency of Administration, which will establish procedures to ensure that expenditures comply with HUD requirements. We don't want any negative unintended consequences. Grants will be dispersed based on demonstrated need. Without this support, Vermont housing authorities estimate they would need to retire or terminate approximately 1,000 vouchers currently in use. Turning to pages 56 to 57, section 81, this is where we specify how the housing opportunity grants mentioned earlier should be allocated. The $1.32 million is specific amounts to specific organizations. Section 83 on pages 58 and 59, we have some sort of placeholder language so that we can address some issues between Dale and the designated agencies regarding a required payment reform transition. The DAs and Dale will work together and with others to identify solutions that address short-term financial challenges. We are requiring a progress report on or before April 15th, 2026. Sections 84 and 85 on pages 59 and 60 simply add another hospital designation to those who are exempt from the limitations on hospital charges for prescription drugs. There's no budgetary impact, and this change has the support of the Green Mountain Care Board. Finally, the last two sections, 86 and 87, have the usual carry forward language and the effective dates. Madam Speaker, we had a public hearing with 23 participants and we heard from an additional 67 witnesses for a total of 90 people. The witness list is here on my desk if you would like to take a look. We could not have done this work without the expertise and incredible support of our Joint Fiscal Office. All of you just about helped us out here, so we're so grateful to all of you and thank you. This budget adjustment bill does many good things for Vermonters of all ages across our state. We're taking care of our own fiscal house while also taking care of people and organizations who need state government to work for them. I am delighted to report that the vote in our committee was a unanimous 11-0-0 vote, and we hope you will support the bill by voting yes. Thank you.
The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for the question? Member from Northfield.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think this is a strong bill, in particular in terms of the appropriations. And of course, there's often a concern about any kind of policy that gets injected in appropriations, or even more so in the BAA. So there was one particular one that I didn't quite follow, and I want to get a clarification on, because in section 84, the added exemption category from previous legislation around which hospitals are exempt from the restriction on high costs for outpatient drugs. And it's referencing hospitals that are not critical access hospitals, which starts limiting the pool a lot, since many of our hospitals are critical access. But it says that non-critical access who participate in the Rural Community Hospital Demonstration Program. My understanding is that fund, that program, we're anticipating a good amount of funds coming from the federal government, but how that program even is constructed or planned out does not have much federal guidance and clarity yet. So it's not underway yet. So I'm wondering what the urgency was to put language that's not related to the BAA in this bill rather than a regular process. So if I may interrogate the reporter of the bill.
The member from Middlebury is interrogated.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I think you are, there's a little bit of confusion happening here. This is not the Rural Hospital Transformation Project where the state has been awarded $195 million. That's completely separate from this. This is CMS, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. It's an alternative payment model known as the Rural Hospital Demonstration Project. There are only 30 hospitals in the country that have this designation, and we have one hospital in Vermont that has this designation. And under this model, the hospital maintains its Medicare-dependent low-volume adjustment status, but is paid based on costs like a critical access hospital. So acceptance into this program demonstrated the hospital's likeness to critical access hospitals with regard to lower volumes and fixed costs.
Thank you for the clarification. I did have those two programs confused. Could the member fill in the body on which hospital then is being added to the non-critical for this purpose, for background?
Am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to say names of hospitals? I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that question.
Will the House stand in a brief recess?
You're right in front of the speaker.
Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? Will the House please come to order? Member from Middlebury.
Yes. Thank you for confirming that it's all right for me to say it's Brattleboro Memorial Hospital.
The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for the question? Member from Burlington.
Madam Speaker, may I interrogate the Chair of Appropriations?
The member from Middlebury is interrogated.
Member, I'm having a hard time finding the document, and so I wanted to just ask, in the governor's request for budget adjustment, there was funds included to compensate for increased obligations of the state for rent for facilities that were going to be needed because the governor made a policy decision to have people move from working at home back into their offices without consulting the legislature. I'm curious if we accommodated the governor's request in this budget adjustment.
Madam Speaker, the legislature, I can answer that question. I heard a comment. I just want to clarify that it is our understanding that the legislature did not have authority to be consulted other than through the budget adjustment. There was no other special work that needed to be done. And yes, I'm just going to try to find the number. Bear with me for a moment. Do you know what else? Can I have a brief recess so I can look for
Sure.
the number?
The House will stand in recess for a brief moment. Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? Member from Middlebury.
Yes, thank you for the question, member. We have on the spreadsheet, if you go to line 30, it's B306 DEVA administration. There's the lease for DEVA staff. It is 91,000 general fund, 116,000 federal fund, a global commitment of 43, total of 252,839. And then in the one-times, on the backside on line 77, in the Secretary's Office of AHS, there's office fit-up of about I think it's actually 348,000, but our system rounds it up.
So am I hearing that we accommodated the request?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, member. Madam Speaker, I'm going to support the budget adjustment because of all the important expenses in it, but I do so with objection to the governor's decision to move employees from remote work to new obligations and new leases, not in a way that inefficiently uses the resources of the state and existing properties. Thank you.
The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and third reading is ordered. Now we'll take up House Bill 648, which is an act relating to banking, insurance, and securities. The bill is referred to the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development, which recommends that the bill be amended as printed in today's calendar. The member from Starksboro, Representative Olson, will speak for the committee. Affecting the revenue of the state, the bill was then referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, which recommends that the bill ought to pass when amended as recommended by the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. The member from South Burlington, Representative Burkhart, will speak for that committee. And then carrying an appropriation, the bill was then referred to the Committee on Appropriations, which also recommends that the bill ought to pass when amended as recommended by the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. The member from Bennington, Representative Nigro, will speak for that committee. Please listen to the second reading of the bill.
H 648, an act relating to banking, insurance, and securities.
Member from Starksboro.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I offer to you and through you to the body the report of the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development on H 648, an act relating to banking, insurance, and securities. This is the annual housekeeping bill offered by the Department of Financial Regulation for the purpose of updating, correcting, and making minor amendments to the laws under which the department regulates businesses under this jurisdiction for the protection of our consumers. H 648 can be found on the legislative website of the House. The strike-all amendment of the bill can be found in today's House calendar beginning at page 276. Madam Speaker, this bill represents a laudable aspect of our democratic system of government. The people of this state elect their representatives, and they trust us to advance the public good. That public trust is enhanced when the legislature, together with the executive branch, closely examines and re-examines the laws under which state agencies operate and refines those laws from time to time to better accomplish the public mission. It takes work, and as you will hear today, the work is sometimes quite technical. Doing the work well, however, is an important foundation for the rule of law and for the public's trust in government. Madam Speaker, sections 1 through 14 relate to the general laws regulating banks, credit unions, and other businesses providing financial services. Section 1 accomplishes two purposes. First, in conformance with the bill passed by this body earlier this year, references to the need to provide application information under oath is amended to permit the filing of such information upon affirmation. A similar change is made in Sec 8 of this strike-all amendment. Second, Section 1 changes references to a registration required to be filed by a consumer litigation finance company to a license in order to be consistent with the use of the term license throughout the department's regulatory programs. A similar change is made in Sec 4. Section 2 clarifies current department practice that issuance of a license for a regulated entity that is a non-bank financial company must promote the public interest. Sec 3 through A6 concern non-bank lenders and other financial services companies. Sec 3 in particular addresses changes in control of a regulated entity that offers money services. The section clarifies that a person seeking to acquire control of the licensee must first apply to the commissioner. The section explicitly calls for the commissioner's review of the financial and business expertise and experience of the applicant. Section 3 also, in the case of money transmitters, creates exemptions from change of control approval by the commissioner when in the public interest. Section 5 proposed to accomplish several purposes in connection with the commissioner's authority to revoke, deny, and take other regulatory action with a regulatory entity engaged in money services. First, the types of potentially disqualifying crimes for the licensee are expanded to include any felony. Second, the section clarifies the types of financial or business-related conduct which might warrant the commissioner revoking or non-renewing a license. Sec 5 also proposes an explicit process by which the licensee may appeal the commissioner's determination with respect to the license. Section 6 provides that all information obtained in connection with the regulatory examination of money service licensees, including the annual report, is confidential. Section 7 clarifies that a consumer litigation finance company, funding company, must obtain a license before doing the business in Vermont and clarifies the requirement for the surety bond. Section 9 revises certain definitions applicable to the regulation of money services in connection with virtual currency transactions. No changes, substantive changes have been made to the Act 23 enacted last year in relation to virtual currency kiosks. Section 10 clarifies that the money services applicant must identify when a credit union, as well as other financial institutions, are a part of the plan of operation of the applicant. Section 11 requires the licensee to register the location of the kiosk with the commissioner. Section 12 deals with check cashing licensees as a type of regulated money service company. The statute is revised to reflect that credit unions, as well as other financial institutions, may be part of the plan of operation of the check cashing business for the purposes of notifying law enforcement of forged or otherwise unlawful check cashing. Section 13 and 14 repeal certain definitions relating to virtual currency companies that are now covered under 8 VSA Section 2503. Section 15 repeals a section relating to consumer protections because the companies referred to in the repealed statute are now included and regulated under regulated entities throughout the bill, throughout the Strike-All Amendment. Madam Speaker, Sections 16 through 21 propose to make non-substantive revisions to Vermont law relating to the financial privacy of Vermonters when conducting their affairs with banks, credit unions, and other lenders. Section 22 clarifies certain terms relating to the obligation of banks, credit unions, and other lenders to file consumer reinvestment reports with the commissioner. Section 23 makes a more transparent reference to the applicability of Vermont's interest statutes to banks, credit unions, and other financial services institutions. Section 24 revises definitions relating to non-discrimination in lending so that the definitions apply to all lending institutions, including banks, credit unions, and licensed lenders. Section 25 clarifies a cross-reference in federal law in connection with escrow accounts required to be maintained in insured depository institutions. Section 26 relates to debt protection agreements. For example, an agreement that forgives repayment of an auto loan balance in the case of a total vehicle. The revision strikes an extraneous cross-reference to financial institutions. Sections 27 and 28 change Vermont's basic banking law by clarifying that the law is applicable to all state-chartered banks and credit unions. Section 29, this section clarifies that the federal truth in lending laws apply to all banks, credit unions, and other lenders. Madam Speaker, sections 30 through 33 extend the laws regulating reverse mortgages to any person or business that offers such financial products. Section 34 clarifies the definitions needed to regulate banks, credit unions, and other financial services and entities. Madam Speaker, sections 35 through 37 address the regulation of banks. Sections 35 and 36 specify how often the governing body of a Vermont chartered investor-owned bank or mutual bank must meet. The requirement for monthly meetings is changed to quarterly meetings, with the proviso that if meeting fewer times than monthly, the financial institution must appoint an executive committee that meets monthly to ensure the proper oversight of the financial institution. Section 37 makes revisions to the circumstances in which a Vermont bank makes a loan. Current law limits loans to 20% of capital. The revision permits greater flexibility in commercial lending by Vermont banks by adopting the broader limitations of lending authority adopted by federal regulators. Madam Speaker, sections 38 through 42 of the bill apply to Vermont credit unions. Section 38 clarifies credit union definitions. Section 39 adopts for credit union governing board meetings the same changes in the frequency of meetings of the governing board made in sections 35 and 36 with respect to banks. Section 40 clarifies that a joint deposit can be made in a credit union even if only one depositor is a member of the credit union. Section 41 permits a credit union to make loans to non-members if the loan is also for a member. Section 42 revises the statute under which credit unions may merge to form a single Vermont chartered credit union to provide that the members of the surviving credit union need not vote to approve the merger. Section 43 clarifies Title IX's regulation of interest rates and the issuance of checks by cross-referencing the statutes defining banks and credit unions. Section 44 allows a mutual insurance holding company to use the term mutual in its name, even if the subsidiary companies in the holding company are stock insurance companies, provided that the company name is also identified as a stock insurer. And forgive me, these sections 44 through 47 all relate to insurance law revisions. Section 45 concerns regulatory statements that must be filed by all insurance companies doing business in Vermont. First, quarterly as well as annual statements are now required. Second, the statements must be signed by 2 of the executive officers of the insurance company, as well as the company's actuaries. Third, the annual and quarterly statements must also be filed with the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. This is the regulatory clearinghouse for all state insurance regulators. Section 46 changes the rule under which a group life insurance policy may be issued so as to simplify the circumstances in which the policy may include coverage for the benefit of dependents of the policyholder. Section 47 clarifies insurance law by prohibiting unfair and deceptive, Section 47 clarifies the health insurance law that prohibits unfair and deceptive acts or practices so as to expressly prohibit discrimination on the basis of race, religion, or national origin. This change is consistent with the current practice of the department in terms of how these consumer protections are enforced. Section 48, this section lowers the threshold for the size of a single issue securities transaction exempted from regulation from 25 to 10 purchasers, thereby expanding the circumstances in which the commissioner's regulatory authority to protect consumers will attach. The section also specifies that federal covered securities are not exempt from the state notice filing requirements. Section 49 clarifies that securities notice filings are subject to notice filing fee and specifies that such fees are non-refundable. Section 50, this section repeals the requirement that open-end investment companies, for example, a mutual fund, pay a state securities registration fee because those companies actually pay a notice filing fee, not a registration fee. Section 51 specifies that appeals from adverse decisions of the commissioner in connection with the securities regulation must be filed in the Superior Court of Washington County. Section 52 corrects a statutory cross-reference in connection with securities violation that impact a vulnerable adult. Section 53 codifies existing department practice for the consideration used in determining a sanction for violation of Vermont securities laws. Section 54 does a couple of items. First, the section deletes from the definition of claimant certain requirements for the purposes of victim restitution because the same material is covered under the restitution fund's eligibility criteria. Second, the section adds a definition of dependent child consistent with federal law to make available to such children the potential benefits of the restitution fund. Third, the section defines a final order in a regulatory or judicial proceeding. Fifth, the section provides for the confidentiality of information provided when a claim for restitution is made. Fifth, the section recognizes that awards may need to be reduced to reflect the solvency or other obligations of the fund. And sixth, the section clarifies the subrogation rights of the state can be had with the person who is ordered to pay restitution. Seventh, the section permits the forfeiture of a restitution award if the applicant for restitution is engaged in dishonesty, fraud, or other unlawful conduct. Madam Speaker, we're on the home stretch. Section 55 clarifies the name of the Financial Institution Supervision Fund. Section 56 repeals the statute relating to the Insurance Regulatory Supervision Fund because that same repealed provision is now codified in the fund proposed to be enacted in the Streichel Amendment in Section 57. Section 58 corrects certain cross-references to federal securities law in connection with broker-dealers and financial advisors, and also requires that an investment advisor must maintain adequate insurance for the risk of a cybersecurity breach. Section 59 provides that when this enacted, this legislation will take effect on July 1, 2026. Madam Speaker, your Committee on Commerce and Economic Development heard testimony from the Commissioner of the Department of Financial Regulation, the Department's Deputy Commissioner of Securities, the Department's staff attorney with expertise in the regulation of securities, the Deputy Commissioner of Banking, the Department's Director of Policy, the Director of Government Relations for the law firm, the President of the Vermont Bankers Association, and the President of the Vermont Credit Union Association. All these witnesses testified in support of the bill and in support of the bill as amended. The committee also had the able assistance of and testimony from Legislative Counsel from the Office of Legislative Counsel. Madam Speaker, your Committee on Commerce and Economic Development voted 10-0-1 to approve the strike-all amendment to H-648. The committee also voted 10-0-1 to approve the bill as amended, and we ask for the body's concurrence and approval.
And now speaking for the Committee on Ways and Means, member from South Burlington.
Madam Speaker, your Committee on Ways and Means reviewed H-648. Our understanding is that the bill will have no impact on the revenues of the state of Vermont. As such, we did not ask the Joint Fiscal Office to prepare a fiscal note. We heard from Legislative Counsel, from the Office of Legislative Counsel. The committee recommends that the bill ought to pass when amended as recommended by the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. The committee vote was favorable, 11-0-0, and I yield to the member from Bennington.
And now speaking for the Committee on Appropriations, member from Bennington.
Madam Speaker, leaving no stone unturned, your House Appropriations Committee also took a look at H-648. We are pleased to report that we found no fiscal impact. We recommend the bill pass by a vote of 10-0-1.
The question is, shall the bill be amended as recommended by the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have amended the bill. Now the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and third reading is ordered. Members, the final item on our action calendar today is House Resolution 12, which is a House resolution expressing support for the principles behind the statement of Governor Philip B. Scott regarding the federal surge of U.S. immigration and customs enforcement and U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents in the state of Minnesota. This resolution has been read and appears in yesterday's House Journal, and now the chair directs that the resolution be read in full.
Whereas, on January 5th, 2026, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security deployed approximately 3,000 federal agents drawn from both ICE and CBP to the metropolitan Twin Cities area in Minnesota. And whereas, on January 24th, 2026, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, CBP agents fatally shot a U.S. citizen at the site of an anti-ICE demonstration, the second such shooting of a protester against ICE operations in the same month. And whereas these and multiple other events pertaining to the methods of enforcing immigration law have triggered large protests both in and out of the state of Minnesota, as well as in Vermont. And whereas two of our fundamental constitutional rights are the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances, and that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. And whereas, in response to the events in Minnesota, on January 25th, 2026, Governor Philip B. Scott issued the following statement: "Enough. It's not acceptable for American citizens to be killed by federal agents for exercising their God-given and constitutional rights to protest their government. At best, these federal immigration operations are a complete failure of coordination of acceptable public safety and law enforcement practices, training, and leadership. At worst, it's a deliberate federal intimidation and incitement of American citizens that's resulting in the murder of Americans. Again, enough is enough. The President should pause these operations, de-escalate the situation, and reset the federal government's focus on truly criminal illegal immigrants. In the absence of presidential action, Congress and the courts must step up to restore constitutionality. And whereas this legislative body desires to speak in unity with the governor on the urgent topic and to address this crisis in our nation, now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives that this legislative body expresses its support for the principles behind the statement of Governor Philip B. Scott regarding the immigration enforcement actions that ICE and CBP, known as Operation Metro Surge, are currently conducting in the state of Minnesota, and be it further resolved that this legislative body stands firm in its defense of the rights of all under the U.S. Constitution and in its commitment to standards that coordinate acceptable public safety and law enforcement practices, training, and leadership. And be it further resolved that the clerk of the House be directed to send a copy of this resolution to Governor Philip B. Scott, President Donald J. Trump, U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, and the Vermont Congressional Delegation.
The question is, shall the House adopt the resolution? Member from Northfield.
Madam Speaker, members who have known me over many years in this body know that I have often complained about or disputed why we would be spending time on resolutions that were not about Vermont. And were not within the scope of our tasks. We attacked other states for bad behavior or federal government for not doing or doing things. So the question is, why this? Madam Speaker, because this is a Vermont issue. We are in the middle of a national crisis, and they have impacts directly in Vermont. This specific situation in Minnesota, the things that have happened, the death that's referenced here, this does not stand alone. We all know the crisis is much broader and deeper, but it does epitomize the depth of the crisis. Madam Speaker, I believe that it's too important for us not to say something to Vermonters as their elected representatives. And Madam Speaker, given that importance, I ask that when the vote is taken, it be taken by roll.
A member from Northfield requests that when the vote is taken, it be taken by roll. Is the member sustained? The member is sustained. When the vote is taken, it will be taken by roll. The question is, shall the House adopt the resolution? Are you ready for the question? If so, will the clerk please call the roll?
Arsenault of Williston. Austin of Colchester.
2 minutes. Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? I would like to remind members that we are in the middle of a roll call vote. Members and guests are prohibited from using computers, phones, or any type of electronic device. Please refrain from the passing of notes and conversation during a roll call. And when the clerk calls your name, please answer in a loud and clear voice so that the clerk can accurately record your votes. I would also like to remind members that vote explanations should be brief. The question is, shall the House adopt the resolution? Will the clerk please continue to call the roll?
Bailey of Hyde Park. Bartholomew of Heartland. Bartley of Fairfax. Rebecca Vanuski. Yes. Byrong of Virgins. Yes. Bishop of Colchester. Yes. Black of Essex. Yes. Bloomley of Burlington. Yes. Boston of Westminster. Yes. Bosch of Clarendon. Boonton of Berry City. Boyden of Cambridge. Brady of Williston. Yes. Brannigan of Georgia. No. Brown of Richmond. Burdett of West Rutland. No. Burke of Brattleboro. Yes. Burkhart of South Burlington. Yes. Burrows of West Windsor. Burdick Cabot. Campbell of St. Johnsbury. Yes. Canfield of Fairhaven. No. Karis Duncan of Whitingham. Casey of Montpelier. Yes. Casey of Hubbardton. Chapin of East Montpelier. Charlton Chester. No. Christie of Hartford. Chena of Burlington. Yes. Coffin of Cavendish. No. Cole of Hartford. Yes, with explanation. Conlon of Cornwall. Yes. Cooper of Pownell. Corcoran of Bennington. Yes. Critchlow of Colchester. Yes. DeMar of Venusburg. No. Dickinson of St. Albans Town. Dobrovich of Williamstown. No. Dodge of Essex. Yes. Dolan of Essex Junction. Yes. Dolgan of St. Johnsbury. Donahue of Northfield. Yes. Duke of Burlington. Yes. Durfee of Shaftesbury. Yes. Eastus of Guilford. Yes. Emmons of Springfield. Yes. Feltus of Linden. Galfetti of Berrytown. Yes. Garifano of Essex. Yes. Coleman of Rockingham. Yes. Goodnow of Brattleboro. Yes. Ghostland of Northfield. No. Granting of Jericho. Yes. Greer of Bennington. Yes. Gregoire of Fairfield. Yes. Hengo of Berkshire. No. Harpel of Glover. Yes. Harvey of Castleton. Hedrick of Burlington. Higley of Lowell. No. Holcomb of Norwich. Hooper of Randolph. Yes. Hooper of Burlington. Houghton of Essex Junction. Yes. Howard of Rutland City. Yes. Holland of Rutland Town. Hoyt of Hartford. Yes. Hunter of Manchester. Yes. James of Manchester. Yes. Kosenska Burke. Keyser of Rutland City. Yes. Kimball Woodstock. Yes. Klepner of Burlington. Yes. Kornheiser of Brattleboro. Yes. Krasnow, South Burlington. Yes. Labor of Morgan. Lally of Shelburne. Yes. Lalone of South Burlington. Yes. Lamont of Morristown. LaRush of Franklin. Lipsky of Stowe. Yes. Logan of Burlington. Yes. Long of Newfane. Yes. Leaders of Lincoln. Yes. Luno of St. Albans City. Yes. McGuire of Rutland City. Yes. Millay of Pittsford. Yes. Marquardt of Coventry. Yes. Maslin of Thetford. Yes. McCann of Montpelier. McCoy of Poultney. Yes. McFawn of Berrytown. Yes. McGill of Bridport. Yes. McLiss of Milton. No. Mahali of Calais. Minnie of South Burlington. Morganella of Milton. Morgan Emma Milton. Morris of Springfield. Morrissey of Bennington. Maura of Weston. Murwicki of Putney. Nelson of Derby. Nielsen of Brandon. Niagara of Bennington. North of Ferrisburg. Noyes of Wolcott. Nugent of South Burlington. O'Brien of Tunbridge. Odie Burlington. Oliver of Sheldon. Olson of Starksboro. Page of Newport City. Parsons of Newberry. Pezzo of Colchester. Pintonald of Dorset. Couch of Heinsberg. Powers of Waterford. Priestley of Bradford. Pritchard of Paulet. Quimby of Linden. Rachelson of Burlington. Sakowitz of Randolph. Shia of Middlebury. Sheldon of Middlebury. Sibilia of Dover. Southworth of Walden. Squirrel of Underhill. Steady of Milton. Stevens of Waterbury. Stone of Burlington. Sweeney of Shelburne. Taglavia Corinth. Taylor of Milton. Taylor of Mendon. Tomlinson of Winooski. Tori Moortown. Walker of Swanton. Waz of Zachary City. Waters Evans of Charlotte. Wells of Brownington. White of Waitsfield. White of Bethel. Winter of Ludlow. Wood of Waterbury. Yakavoni of Morristown. Arsenault of Williston. Bailey of Hyde Park. Bartholomew of Heartland. Burroughs of West Windsor. Kearse Duncan of Whitingham. Casey Hubbardton. Christie of Hartford. Cooper Pownell. Dolgan of St. Johnsbury. Holcomb of Norwich. Cooper of Burlington. Howland of Rutland Town. LaRush of Franklin. Nielsen of Brandon. Parsons of Newberry. Quimby of Linden. Sakowitz of Randolph. Sheldon of Middlebury.
For purpose of vote explanation, member from Berry City. Member from Chester.
Madam Speaker, may I explain my vote?
You may.
I voted no. I do support the governor's prerogative to issue his statement, and I have no doubt I am very deeply concerned about events in Minneapolis. The resolution as written, however, missed an opportunity to call on all parties to de-escalate confrontational action and inflammatory rhetoric. This is one of the first principles of conflict mitigation. And with this omission, the document falls from being something which may have helped de-escalation to more theatrics on an already crowded stage. We can do better than this. And if we think to lead, we must. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member from Hartford.
Madam Speaker, my yes vote is for the people who have been saying enough all along.
Member from Essex.
Since January, we have watched in horror as CBP and ICE agents turn cities like LA, Chicago, and now Minneapolis into war zones. And the heinous shooting of 2 American citizens has shaken the national conscience. I mourn their tragic and unnecessary death, just as I mourn the 32 immigrants and asylum seekers who've died needlessly in ICE custody since January of 25. While we share our outrage and call for an end to the chaos, let us be moved by the same selfless courage that motivated Ms. Good and Mr. Preddy. They did not act only for those who look or sound like them. May their sacrifice remind us that our freedoms are bound together and that passports and borders do not determine human dignity. May this resolution move us to act for the good of all Vermonters, including our immigrant communities.
Member from Northfield.
Madam Speaker, my reason for my no vote, what's going on in Minnesota is a tragedy. A thorough investigation must be done. Since Governor Scott posted his response, we have already seen some positive change. This is a job of our Washington delegation to deal with this. My job is to represent Vermont to the best of my abilities, and I feel this resolution pits neighbors against neighbors even more. It's time we all work together and focus on Vermont. Thank you.
Member from Bennington.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The resolution before us today highlights the mistrust and complete disconnect between our federal government and the people. This is a needed acknowledgement during this time of grief and tragedy, and we also must remember that this is a result of a failure in Congress to make necessary reforms to our immigration system and policies for far too long, and we must hold our executive branch accountable.
Member from Weston.
Madam Speaker, I am voting for this resolution to follow the lead of Thomas Jefferson, who said, quote, "In questions of power, let no more be heard of confidence in man, but bind him down from mischief by the chains of the Constitution."
Member from Derby.
Madam Speaker, may I explain my vote?
You may.
Thank you. Border Patrol agent David Chris Malin was murdered 1 year and 9 days ago, real near to my home. Two things can be true. Although I voted yes to support my governor's statement, I do stand in support of my family, friends, and neighbors that serve in our federal law enforcement protecting our northern border.
Member from Newport City.
Madam Speaker, may I explain my vote?
You may.
Let me be very clear. I abhor the tactics of and deaths of Americans by our U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. My district exists along the international border with Canada. One can often see U.S. immigration officers on a daily basis. Within my community, they are our friends and neighbors. Their patrols can oftentimes bring them into situations where they are placed in danger and sometimes killed, such as what happened a little over a year ago to a U.S. Border Patrol agent near where I live. My feelings are that to sign on to this resolution would bring disrespect and dishonor to the agents that serve within my community, and especially to the memory of Agent David Chris Malin, and that is why I am voting no on this resolution. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
And now, member from Waterbury.
Their names are Renee Good and Alex Preddy. 5-year-old Liam Conejo Ramos and his father, Adrian Conejo Arias, and Kilmar Abrego Garcia, stolen and shipped away, along with so many others. These are only the names in the headlines. Minnesotans forcibly pulled from their cars over broken glass, cars left running in the street, babies inside, children inside, families desperate for answers and no one picking up the phone when they call. This is not new. Immigration and customs enforcement has never been the point. The point is the chaos, the cruelty, the terror, the violence, and the trauma. The point is the blatant disregard of the rule of law and the US Constitution, and then lying about what we see with our own eyes. The point is that it took the on-camera murders of 2 white helpers to get us to take this action, and not the weeks, months, and years of the state-sanctioned murders of Black and brown people in this country. The point is the immorality of government-paid mercenaries operating no differently than the slave patrols of the 1700s, with the stated aim of ethnic cleansing and white supremacy. If we cannot see and acknowledge how we got to this point, our demands for change and reconciliation will never be enough.
And member from Milton.
Madam Speaker, my no vote is based on the broader condemnation implied in the resolution and not having enough information. That being said, no matter where you stand on what is happening in Minnesota, we should all agree on one thing. Nobody should be dying, period. The loss of life is horrible and shows something has gone too far.
Member from Morristown.
Madam Speaker.
Member from Morristown, would you like to explain your vote?
May I explain my vote?
You may.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, this is America. We have constitutional rights. Law and order, protect and serve. May we stop unjust loss of life, domestic terrorism, and civil unrest that is caused from the violent enforcement in our communities. The sentiments, yes. And also, language matters.
Member from Williston.
I dedicate my vote on this resolution to the extraordinary network of Minnesotans who are coming together.
Member, would you like to explain your vote?
May I explain my vote?
You may.
Thank you. Sorry. I dedicate my vote to the extraordinary network of Minnesotans who are coming together to defend our democracy and take care of neighbors who are living as if they are in a war zone rather than a major U.S. city. I would especially like to dedicate my vote to the teachers in the Minneapolis and St. Paul area who are going to extraordinary lengths to take care of children, so many of whom can no longer safely even go to school.
Member from Colchester.
Madam Speaker, can I explain my vote?
You may.
Once again, our governor speaks truth to power. Thank you.
Member from Burlington.
Madam Speaker, may I explain my vote?
You may.
Madam Speaker, my heart goes out to every American. My father fought for this country. My cousin died for this country. I love my country. I love the United States Constitution. I will not remain silent as it is torn asunder. I vote yes.
Members, please listen to the results of your vote. Those voting yes, 106. Those voting no, 25. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Members, that completes the orders of the day. Are there any announcements? Seeing, member from Guilford.
Sorry. Madam Speaker, I know that I said that the Creative Caucus would be meeting immediately after this, but we're not going to meet immediately after this, just to let everyone know. Thank you.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none. Member from Poultney, can you please offer us a motion to adjourn until Friday, January 30th at 9:30 a.m.?
Madam Speaker, I make a motion this body stand in adjournment until Friday, January 30th, 2026 at 9:30 a.m.
You have heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and this body